Good morning, dear student. Today, I am going to teach you about the risk involved under green revolution. Then we'll discuss about the debate over subsidies in agriculture, positive point and negative point. Then we will discuss about economist in favor of subsidies, economist against the subsidies, and then we will critically study the agricultural development during the period of 40 years. Let us first discuss about risk involved under green revolution. There was a two type of risk found in green revolution. Number first is risk of pest attack. The HYB crops were more prone to attack by pests. So there was a risk that small farmer who adopted this technology could lose everything in a pest attack. However, this risk was considerably reduced by the services rendered by research institutions established by the government. The second risk was risk of increase in income inequality. There was a risk that costly input HYB seeds and fertilizer required under green revolution will increase the disparities between small and big farmer. Actually, small and marginal farmer do not took did not took the much advantage from the green revolution, and the big farmers and landlords were more benefited. However, due to the favorable step taken by the government, these fears did not come true. Now, one is the hottest issue, that is subsidies in agriculture. Subsidy providing subsidy in fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, pesticide, and seeds was adopted by the Indian government during this period. During the initial phase of green revolution, new technology was looked upon as being risky by the farmers. So it was necessary for the government to grant subsidies to provide an incentive for adoption of new HYB technology. However, within a passage of time, there has been a debate over the huge amount of subsidies granted by the government to the farmers. Now let us discuss the economist in favor of subsidies. The government should continue. The economist who favors a subsidy argue that the government should continue with agricultural subsidies as farming in India continues to be risky business. Second, majority of the farmers are very poor and they will not be able to afford the required input without the subsidies, especially small and marginal farmer. Let me recall you, small and marginal farmers are those who having less than 4 acres of the land are called small and marginal farmers. Third, eliminating subsidies will increase the income inequality between rich and poor farmers and will violate the ultimate goal of equity. So, some farmers are getting the advantage as the name of subsidy. Now, economists which are against the subsidies, they argue that according to the some economists, subsidies were granted by government to provide an incentive for adoption of new HYB techniques. So, after the wide acceptance of technology, subsidies should be phased out as their purpose has been served. Subsidies do not benefit the poor and the small farmer. As I have already told, target group as benefit of substantial amount of subsidy go to the fertilizer industry and the prosperous farmer. And this the subsidies to the agriculture sector make a farmer dependent on government, and they were unable to compete with the farmer of any another part of the world. So one side the subsidies providing help to the farmer, another side it was the burden for the government, and the target group, which were the target group, was not getting the benefit. Now let us discuss about appraisal of agricultural development during 1950 and 1990. Number first, the land reform measures and the green revolution were the great achievement of this 40 years period. That is the land reform, abolition of zamindari system, and the green revolution, red revolution, and these revolution were the Indian government enhancing the agricultural production and productivity. Between 1950 to 1990, there has been substantial increase in agricultural productivity. During this period, agricultural production increases. As a result, green revolution, India became self-reliant, self-sufficient in food production. Land reform resulted in abolition of zamindari system. The proportion of GDP between 1950 and 1990 contributed by agricultural declined significantly, but not the population depending on the portion of the GDP till 1990 reduced to 24% by the agriculture sector, but the population engaged in the agriculture sector was more than 65. Around 65 of the country's population continued to be employed in agriculture even till 1990. Agricultural output could have grown with much less people working in the sector, but industrial and service sector were unable to absorb the extra people involved in agriculture. The involvement of such a large proportion of the population, agriculture was regarded as the important failure of policies followed during the 1950 and the 1990. Now let us discuss another point, that is industrial development. To developing India, the developing country like India can only progress when there is a good industrial sector. Again, you might be knowing both primary and tertiary, both are totally dependent on the industrial sector. Industries serve the agriculture sector and service sector directly. Industry provides employment which is more stable than the employment in agriculture. As you know, in agriculture sector you will find underemployment, disguised unemployment, and seasonal unemployment. But in a industrial sector you can get a full-fledged employment. Industrialization promotes modernization and overall prosperity, and our industry creates a sound base for the industry. Due to this reason, 5-year plan stays all 5-year plan stays on the industrial development. At the time of independence, the variety of industry was very limited. We were more prosperous in cotton textile, jute industry, and iron, and there were only 2 well managed iron and steel firms, one in Jamshedpur Tisco and another in Kolkata. So there was a strong need to expand the industrial base with a variety of industries. Now, role of public sector in industrial development. Role of public sector. At the time of independence, the big question facing the policy maker was to decide the role of government, public sector, and the private sector in industrial development. There was a need for a leading role of the public sector due to the following reason. The government thought that government should take the initiative for industrial development, and the government took the initiative. Most of the industries were publicly or nationalized, which were earlier set up by private sector also, that is nationalized. Government purchase shortage of capital with private sector. The main reason why the government should take more initiative is the private sector at the time of independence or corporate sector do not have the sufficient fund to invest for investment. Now the government had to took the initiative. Private enterprises did not have the capital to undertake investment in industrial venture required for development of Indian economy. At the time of independence, Tatas and Birlas were the only well-known private enterprises. As a result, government had to make industrial investment through PSU, public sector undertaking, and you will find most of the PSUs established during this time. Second, lack of incentive for private sector. The Indian market was not big enough to encourage private industrialists to undertake major projects, even if they had capital to do so. Due to the limited size of the market, there was low level of demand for the industrial goods. The demand was also low, so private sector could not take the risk. Third, objective of social welfare. As you know that private sector or private corporate sector only operation can be done only if there is a profitability, or we can say if there is a chances of profit, the private sector will work. But in such areas where profitability is less, now government have to take the initiative. The objective of equity and social welfare of the government could be achieved only through the direct participation of state in the process of industrialization. So state government and central government took the initiative. As a result, state had complete control over those industries that were vital for the economy. The policies of the private sector had to be complementary to those of the public sector, with public sector leading the way. Now in the next class I will teach you about the industrial policy resolution 1956. That was the first industrial policy brought by introduced by the Indian government, and we will discuss in the next class. Thank you. And